This last year and a half, we have experienced a time unlike anything we have known before. The tension in our lives have caused many to feel confusion and uncertainty about what the future may hold. So it may seem wise to slow down and play it cautious and wait to see what happens before we move forward. But we believe God has not called us to simply survive. He has called us to thrive. We believe from the deepest part of our hearts that we have never had a greater opportunity to help people find their way to God's radiant love. Nothing is going to keep us from fulfilling our mission of seeing men and women, young and old, from every race and social and economic background, encounter Jesus. You know, when the storm tore off the roof, dumping thousands of gallons of water into our sanctuary, CR First, we did not miss a beat. We continued to lift up Jesus, served our community, and poured ourselves out for God's glory. You know, in Acts 1:8, it says that you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, throughout Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. This is the mission of the church. We are called to be filled with the Spirit and sent out to shine God's love. This is such a pivotal moment for Eastern Iowa. This is not the time for us to play it safe, but to trust God more. As a result, the leadership of our church has committed the next 2 years to move forward with a bold and courageous initiative we are calling Unleash. CR First, we believe with every fiber of our soul, this is the time God is wanting to unleash His glory, power, and love through us. Our primary goal is that every single one of us is moving forward and allowing God's Spirit and love to be unleashed through us. We want each of you to ask God to show you how you can join Him, to live by faith, and allow God to unleash generosity and love and hope through you during these next 2 years. We want to pray, each of us, God, show me how you want to make an impact. We believe that God is calling us to unleash His radiant love by investing our generosity in 3 key areas. The first is to engage our community. You know, what happens here day in and day out is significant. We see lives healed, marriages restored, and the next generation encountering the love of Jesus. Together, we lift up God's glorious name, and people are filled with the power of God's Spirit to serve those in need throughout our community. Or we have seen God use our online ministries this last year to touch so many people.
Our online services, I love our online services because my husband and I we work at the prison, and so we have weird schedules, and he doesn't attend, with me. He's not able to. He works on Sundays, and so when COVID happened and derecho happened and we had to shut down and we switched to online services, I think he went to more services than he had, the whole 2 years prior. And my big experience that I want to talk about is online. We had a speaker, and it was a Friday night, and I wasn't able to make it. So I was home watching online in my pajamas, and he was talking about, receiving the Holy Spirit, and I prayed at home, and I just had this wonderful experience, in my basement, in my pajamas. And I think, a lot of people get caught up in, you have to be here. You need to be here when you can, because we need people, we need that contact and that interaction. But it's just as important to know that you can do it from home and have the same experience. So.
Online really has become the new front door to our church, and we need to expand our online reach to continue to reach hundreds of families each week and invest more into our local communities. All of this is funded by our general fund, but it is far from having just a general impact. Over the next 2 years, we want to increase our push to reach people who are far from Jesus, raise up 500 disciplers, and send out more people to work for God's kingdom. Now, the second investment will be to equip the next generation. And you've heard me say often that we measure our impact by the faith of the next generation. For this reason, we need to invest in our facilities to create environments where our children and teens can safely encounter Jesus, grow deep in His Word, and shine bright with His presence. Our building was created for ministry in a different time. We need to update it to create secure spaces focused on each phase of our kids' development. We want to increase the visibility of the importance of the next generation when people come into our building. And so we're creating spaces for kids with special needs, great environments for families to connect, and ultimately a space where the next generation feels at home and where they can't wait to get to church.
I think Next Gen has always been just with our kids growing up here has always been a focus for me. That was one of the things when I came on the board also was a focus was the kids ministry and children's and kids ministry, because that's the future of our church, is what our youth are doing when they're at church, when they're in the community, bringing their friends to church, and we see that every week, every day at our church. So we're definitely in the right direction. What I'd like to see is, that to double. I mean, to be where we have youth that are leading all aspects of our church and where they feel comfortable to come to church, even without their parents when they get past the youth age and they become leaders in our church, and that's going to be our future.
The third part of this 2-year initiative is to expand God's kingdom. You see, many churches have reduced their funding of God's mission as things have become uncertain about the future. We believe that God's kingdom is the greatest and most secure investment.
Our son that's a missionary was talking to some of the people that he works with over in India, and they told him, it's been 5 days since we've had a meal. And we're like, oh, you mean 5 days since? He said, no, we have had nothing to eat for 5 days. And here we are sitting in our warm house and with our food and with our, whatever. And I thought, this is nuts. We have so much, and I just felt like, how can we not give when God has blessed us so much? And so that kind of became a focus. It was like, let's just keep giving. So every ministry that was pouring out actual food, to people, we were like, okay, that we're in. We want to make sure that those people have the finances to buy food so people can eat. So that was a big deal for us.
And Pastor Brian has said, the math doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. And there have been many times when we've received something completely unexpected. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, here's another chance. Yep. Where can we funnel that? Mm-hmm. And that's been a real joy for us.
During the next 2 years, we want to increase what we have done through our miracle offerings and work with our 3 Hope Centers in Choluteca, Honduras, to change a region for the gospel. We're going to continue to partner with Project 42 to reach 42% of the world that has not heard about Jesus. We are increasing our partnership with boots on the ground missionaries as they live the life of Jesus in regions that are the most resistant to the gospel and the good news of Jesus. And we will continue to raise up local leaders through the Iowa Leadership College. We believe that God's plan is for CR First to become a multi-campus church and expand our reach throughout Eastern Iowa. God has been so faithful in providing a building for our Manchester campus, and we are ready to jump in and radiate God's love to that community. We are convinced that God is not finished with us. We're not going to passively wait and just hope for a good future. No, we are going to meet God at the front lines. We're going to take risks for the sake of His glory, and we need to do this together. I want to ask you, will you partner with CR First? Can we work together to engage our community, equip the next generation, and expand God's kingdom? I'm telling you, now is the time for us to be unleashed.